This is the Sichuan Circle, with a radius of 300 kilometers or 186 miles. Look how perfectly the capitals of 4 countries are located in it: Warsaw, Vienna, Budapest, and Bratislava. Also in this circle is the region of Silesia, which is home to about 9 million people. The total nominal GDP of the circle is $1.16 trillion. But despite these impressive values, the Sichuan Circle is not even in the top 20 in the world. I calculated the GDP for the top 20 most economically powerful clusters in the world with a radius of 300 kilometers. I will show you the major cities, the main spheres of activity, and compare them with the leading countries of the world. So 20th place, the Sichuan Circle in China. It can even be seen with the naked eye from space, thanks to the fertile Yangtze River Valley. About half of the circle's territory is located in Sichuan Province. Chengdu and Chongqing are the largest cities. Each of them has more than 10 million inhabitants. In total, 110 million people live inside the circle. Traditionally, this region has been at the leading edge of agricultural production in China. Rice and wheat, citrus fruits, sugarcane, sweet potatoes, peaches, and grapes. But in recent decades, the Chinese government has invested significantly in the development of heavy industry and engineering. For example, Chongqing has become a real giant in the production of cars and motorcycles. The total GDP of this circle is $1.17 trillion. This is comparable to the economies of Sweden and Belgium combined. Let's move on. The 19th place is the Cascadia Circle. The main part of the territory is covered by the state of Washington. The southern part lies in Oregon, and the northern part in British Columbia, Canada. Seattle is the largest city in the circle, and its agglomeration brings in $567 billion, which is almost half. Vancouver and the Portland metropolitan area also contribute a significant part. This region is characterized by one of the highest living standards in the world. Just 14 million residents generate $1.25 trillion in GDP. Only 3 countries have higher GDP per capita than Cascadia. It is home to the headquarters of leading companies: Amazon, Microsoft, Starbucks, and others. The Cascadia Circle is even ahead of Turkey in terms of economic size. The next circle is also divided between the United States and Canada, but here, Canada's contribution is much larger. Montreal, Quebec, and other cities in the Lawrence Lowlands generate $330 billion, or 24% of total. 7 million Canadians live here. However, the remaining 75% of GDP is generated by 6 states in the so-called New England region. The Boston metro area itself accounts for 44% of the economy. About half of the region's exports are industrial and commercial machinery, such as computers, electronic, and electrical equipment. It is interesting that the main seaport of this circle is Montreal, probably the most remote place from the ocean. It was Montreal that gave us the Assassin's Creed game, and Boston that gave birth to Facebook. Then we return to the West Coast again, but this time to Northern California. It is here that Silicon Valley is located, the world's center of high technology and innovation. Silicon Valley also accounts for 1/3 of all venture capital investments in the United States. The total GDP of the San Francisco metro area is almost $800 billion, which is slightly less than the economy of Poland. However, the circle also includes the capital of California, Sacramento, and many other cities in the Great Valley of California. Together, they generate more than $1.5 trillion. This is equal to the economy of Spain. You'll find out why I didn't put a circle south to Los Angeles further down the rankings. Florida is in 16th place. Almost the entire territory of the state fits perfectly here. The circle also captures part of the Bahamas with the city of Freeport. The economy is based on 4 agglomerations: Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. Interestingly, the state capital of Tallahassee was left out. Unlike the previous clusters, Florida mainly generates money from tourism and agricultural activities. Attractions such as Walt Disney World, Kennedy Space Center, and Miami Beach attract tens of millions of visitors each year. Then we go outside the Americas and move to Asia. The largest part of the cluster is covered by the province of Sichuan. Therefore, the name is appropriate. The circle also reaches the northern part of Taiwan. Sichuan and Zhejiang have the second and third highest GDP per capita among all Chinese provinces, and the north of Taiwan is even twice as rich. So it is not surprising that the cluster was formed here. Sichuan has representative offices of many world-famous brands such as Boeing, Dell, Siemens, Panasonic, and is also known for its tea. Taiwan has the most valuable semiconductor company in the world, TSMC. Such fast-growing giants as AMD, Apple, MediaTek, Qualcomm, and NVIDIA are TSMC's customers. The Sichuan Circle is in 14th place. Sichuan lands generates the bulk of the circle's GDP. It is also home to the region's largest city, Berlin, the second largest port in Europe, Hamburg, and the Czech capital, Prague. To see the power of the cluster, just look at the cars produced here. Mercedes-Benz, Tesla, Volkswagen, BMW, Porsche, MAN, Skoda. The size of the Sichuan Circle economy exceeds the size of the economies of Australia or Mexico. 13th place, the Carolina Circle. In addition to the states of South and North Carolina, the cluster also covers a large part of Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia. The Atlanta metro area generates almost a third of the circle's total GDP. The busiest airport in the world, Hartsfield-Jackson, operates here. In 2024, the airport served more than 108 million passengers and provided 63,000 workplaces. Savannah is home to the third busiest seaport in the United States. In addition to the transportation industry, the banking sector is also well developed. Thus, Charlotte is the second largest banking center in the United States, after New York. The cluster's total GDP is equal to that of 2 Swiss countries, and it is only the 5th largest cluster in North America. Our next stop is not China, Europe, or America. It is South Korea. Thanks to its compact territory, almost the entire country fits into a circle with a radius of 300 kilometers. There is still room for the northern part of the Japanese island of Kyushu. I initially tried to include North Korea in the circle, but it turned out that the city of Fukuoka alone has a higher GDP than the entire North Korea. Therefore, the circle is oriented to the south. In 2008, South Korea became the world's dominant shipbuilder, with a share of more than 50% of the global shipbuilding market. World-renowned companies in mechanical engineering and electronics were formed and continue to operate here. The total volume of the cluster's economy is slightly lower than that of Russia. 11th place. The Irish Sea is in the center of this circle. Therefore, the name is appropriate. The economy has exceeded $2 trillion. Look how perfectly the circle covers northern and central England, Wales, the main cities of Scotland, and the main part of Ireland, which has one of the highest GDP per capita in the world. Dublin has a smaller population than cities like Manchester and Birmingham, but its GDP is even higher than those 2 cities combined. The economy of the Irish Sea cluster is the same size as 4 United Arab Emirates or 5 Denmark. I did not include London in this circle because it is part of something much bigger. I will talk about this in the next part of the video.